then let's hit it. Let's go live, babies. Here we are. We are hitting the lives, and have a little bit of fun today. And I upgraded my Mac operating system and to the newest version. And the camera control software does not like the new version. It doesn't work properly. So I look a little blue and I look a little washed out. It's kind of odd. But what are you going to do, right? It's all about what we say, not how we look.
Are we on the air?
Been told. We are on the air.
Are we on the air? I'm not seeing it on the Video Marketing Madness page. Are you syndicating it?
Yeah, but, that software seems to work whenever it feels like it, and sometimes it doesn't feel like it. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to old Facebook and I'm going to do it myself. And I'm going to have to go in and check that again because I don't know why it does that. It just randomly, when it wants to, streams it out to everybody. And other times
I can do it
just
too.
Doesn't bother. Well, I'm already there, and
okay.
I'm better than you, so I'll take care of it. And for those of you who are joining us, yes, you're watching how we get things going here. We've got a software that's supposed to, as soon as we go live, it's supposed to share it out to other channels, but it does not seem to be doing what we want it to do this time, so I'm going to have to do it manually here. So we're going to share this over to Video Marketing Madness, to a group. Yeah, to a page. You're right. It is a page, not a group.
Yeah. I didn't know that was in there. Huh.
Share it to a page.
Learn something new every day.
Video Marketing Madness. Yeah, I'll have to go in and see why it's not doing it automatically for us, but there we go. It is now officially shared out to there anyway, so hopefully everybody will get it. I'm not going to sit here and share it out to all the other ones. They'll have to survive and maybe get a replay later. So,
what difference does it
make?
Right.
I know. Nobody cares anyway, right?
Nobody cares.
Nobody listens.
Nobody
All right,
listens.
so today you better listen because today we're going to talk about 5 ways to improve your videos. In the last show, we talked about ways to improve your shooting, which was mostly about meant to be about tripods, but we got into some other things. But today I want to talk things that will improve your videos themselves. And the main reason that we want to get into that has to do with a poll that I did and what people really wanted to learn about in video marketing. So with that, Steve, are you ready to hit the music and play this little game that we call life?
That's right.
All right.
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, in that case, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching from around the world, let's get ready to cast. Here we go. In 5, 4. Oh, you know what? I do have to do one thing, though. I want to see, because this is our episode that was going to be last week. Okay, I just wanted to see who this show is brought to us by. Which, by the way, before we get started here, this episode is brought to us by Best Buy, which we'll talk about in a second here. But it appears that giving the plug to that at the beginning. Apparently, it's not tracking the sales anyway because I had somebody buy something specifically through that, and we got no credit for it. So we got to figure out what's wrong with it. But we'll keep it as being from Best Buy anyway because, why not? So, all right, with that said, here we go. In 5, 4, 3. On today's episode of Video Marketing Madness, we're going to talk about 5 ways that you can improve your videos. And today's episode is made possible by our good friends at Best Buy. That's right, Best Buy. If you are looking to pick up any of your video equipment, anything from higher-end DSLR cameras, higher-end video cameras, all the way down to, old DVDs or movies or old video games, anything that you need that has to do with electronics, you can get at Best Buy. You can even get your refrigerator and your stove there. Did you know that, Steve?
I did know that.
So Video Marketing Madness, you can go and get your stove directly through us. And how do we get it directly through us? Well, all you have to do is head on over to raisebonuses.com/bestbuy, and you'll be able to pick up any of the video items you need, from Apple computers to, for the weird people, you could pick up a Windows machine. There's, these old stinky Android phones. And then there's real phones like the Apple iPhone that you can get. All of those at Best Buy. And again, you can pick any of those up, whether I like them or not, at raisebonuses.com/bestbuy. Check it out today. And with that, this song was not made on Best Buy recording equipment, but it could have been. And you could get
It
that
could have
equipment
been.
by heading to Best Buy. So
That's
all
right.
right, here it is. Here's our song.
Hit
He's
it, Ray.
Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.
And it's the radio show about video marketing madness with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. We're on govmm.com. That's the home page for the two
Yes,
homies.
indeed. That's right.
And there you can see.
It is a homely page. There's no doubt about it.
It is a homely page. I built it, so yeah. And you can subscribe to all the podcatchers there, most notably Apple Podcasts.
Yes,
I think
indeed.
that's the big one. That's the big one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. Sorry to everybody else, but that is the big one. There's other ones that are catching up because there's a lot of those Android sufferers who have to do workarounds that Apple users can just do automatically. So
you know what works great on Android?
I've just pissed off half the population of this audience. By the way, just so you know.
Well, nobody takes you seriously.
That's true.
Do you know what works great on Android, though? I really like, because I've got an Android tablet.
Apple.com to buy the iPhone?
No.
No.
That's a good answer. Podcast Republic.
Yeah, I've heard
And
about that
so
one,
if-
actually. That's supposed to be a pretty good one.
Yeah, it mirrors iTunes. So if you subscribe to something on iTunes, you download Podcast Republic, and you're subscribed. You got all the stuff
you
that
go.
you had on iTunes. So it's
Podcast
kinda cool.
Republic mimics Apple Podcasts, coming to a lawsuit near you.
That's right. Well, it's got
I'm sure it's a
everything that
wonderful thing.
iTunes
Yeah,
has.
no, I'm sure it's a great thing. I joke around. You know what? They're all technology. They're all phones. They're all far more popular than my computer was just 10 years ago. So, you can't.
Those
really
were
make fun of any
jokes?
of them. So, yes, those were jokes, kind of.
Oh,
I mean, usually
kinda
Android is the
pixelized.
joke, but yeah, you are. You're a little pixely, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We're here to hear the knowledge, not to see the faces. So, in fact,
Well, you don't wanna see
in the
my face
podcast, you
anyhow.
won't see the face anyway. You'll just hear the lovely dulcet tones that we create each and every week here on Video Marketing Madness. And today we're going to make our tones all about how to improve your videos. Where this came from, I actually did a poll back about. And I wasn't dancing on it, but I did a poll back a couple of weeks ago that asked people what they're looking for when it comes to video marketing. Do they want to learn more about
said
YouTube?
poll.
Do they want to learn more about how to shoot a video, how to use a camera, how to shoot on a smartphone? Do they want to learn how to edit? Do they want to learn how to do animation or special effects? What was the real thing they wanted to learn? And there was a couple of things that stood out, one of which was dealing with shooting on your smartphone. And believe it or not, shooting on a video camera actually did okay as well. But one of the things that really stood out was people wanted more information on editing and special effects and all of those types of things that can really enhance a video. And with everybody and their brother having a smartphone these days where they can go out and they can shoot video all the time, we constantly see video on places like Facebook or even on YouTube where it's just somebody with their phone. They took a video of a car chase and they posted it up there, and that's all it is just the raw video from their phone. And there's nothing wrong with that in those situations. The very point of view, POV type of newscasting sort of videos, which is perfectly fine. However, when we get into things where we're trying to market something, we're doing videos for a client, we're doing videos for our own purposes, for some real content that brands us, we need to take this a step further. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the items and the things you can do to make sure that your videos are better than just the average video that's out there. If you're going to create a video for a client, you really need to step them up, because if you just show up there with your phone, grab a quick video and post it online, it might be effective, it might be good enough, but the client may not see it that way. They may say, it's a little below the standard we kind of expect when we put our name on something. And so I wanted to talk about some of the things you can do to really spice up those videos. And the first thing I want to talk about is probably the simplest part of all this, and that is to edit things out. If you are going to shoot a video, for instance, let's say you're shooting an interview with a client and you say, okay, John, tell me, why are you the best dentist in town? And he says, I'm the best dentist in town because I do XYZ, ABC, and, everybody loves me. And then he turns to you and says, was that any good? What do you think? Yeah. And if you put that online as is, it's not going to be very good. So what we need to do is we need to start off by trimming that down. Trim off that beginning where you're sitting there going, okay, John, tell me why you're the best dentist in town. You need to trim that down, get rid of that. And you can do that right inside your phone. If you're shooting on your Android device or your Apple device, you can actually trim the videos right in there. I know, I'm not super familiar with all of the Android ones, but I'm assuming they work pretty much the same as the Apple camera, where you can just grab that and just trim it in, bring it up to where you want it to start, and then at the end, remove the part where he turns to you and asks you if he did okay, and so that you just get the beginning of what he said and the end of what he said. And if he made any flubs in the middle, you may want to cut those out too. And again, you can do most of this right on your phone. However, you'll probably be better off if you bring it to your computer where you can really look at it on a bigger screen. You can make sure that you cut out the beginning, cut out the end, cut out any mistakes in the middle, and make any adjustments. Because, for instance, let's say that you're a dentist. He sits down with you and he says, I'm the best guy in town because I do ABC. Oh, wait, I meant ABCD. Okay, I do ABCD, and then continues on. Well, you could use that if you remove the parts where he made the mistake. So you start off right before he says, I do ABC. You cut it before that, and then right after the mistake, when he starts over, you cut there, you remove that middle part, put it all together, and now you've got a video that plays through all the way. Now, of course, you're going to have one issue because you're going to have what's called a jump cut in the middle of there. So a jump cut is where I'm sitting here like this, I'm talking to you, and then boop, I just kind of pop into a different position because something moved out of the middle. Now, in this age of YouTube, that's actually become almost like an editing technique. But in a professional environment like that, where you're trying to, you're trying to talk to clients on a professional level, it doesn't quite work there. You need to be a little softer with that. And so what you need to do is to edit something in between there or make some changes to part of that. Now, one trick that you can do, especially in this day of 4K video, where even if you're shooting with your smartphone, you're probably shooting in 4K. Your final video that you're going to put out is probably going to be 1080p, which means that you're shooting gigantic 4K video and then putting it out in high definition. Okay, and so you've got a lot of bandwidth there. So one thing that you can do is when your doctor makes the mistake, when the dentist makes the mistake there, you take that second half and you just blow it up a little bit so that he's more zoomed in. And so you start off where he's back here talking, and then when he makes the mistake, you cut that and then you zoom in. So the next shot, he's a little closer. So it looks like it was an intentional change of the camera angle. And that can be an effective way to get over those mistakes that are made. So that's one way to do that, is to edit those videos, cut that part out. Now, the second part is actually going to work with this. And the second part is using B-roll. Now, if you don't know what B-roll is any other video footage from or for that particular video. So, for instance, when your dentist is talking, he may start off saying, the reason I'm the best dentist in town is because... And then you may cut away to some video of him working on a patient while he's talking underneath that. Okay, and that's what we call B-roll. And what it, just to get the terminology out there, what that literally meant was back in the old days, you would have an A reel of tape and a B reel of tape or film, and the B roll would be put in with the A roll to make that cut. And it was literally cutting film and putting it together and taping it so that you had one piece of film, but that was the B-roll of film, and you would put them together, or tape. And so that's where that comes from, the A-roll and B-roll. So the B-roll is other shots you take. So if you go to interview your dentist, you do the interview, and then maybe you get him working on the patients. You get video of the outside of the building. You get video of the lobby. You get video of the secretary checking somebody in. You get close-ups of the equipment, things like that. Those are all B-roll that you can put on top of what he's saying to show off, to kind of emphasize what's being said. So if he talks about, we use the Tooth Extractor 3000, well, you could take a video of the Tooth Extractor 3000 and put that in there. And that way you've got this really nice video. It looks more professional, but it also solves our issue where he made the mistake, because you can put that B-roll over that mistake, and then nobody would ever know that there's a break in there that you spliced together. And so that's the second step, is to use B-roll to make things more interesting, to help enhance the video, to help tell the story, to help create mood. And, when it comes to the B-roll, the big question is, of course, where do you get this B-roll? Well, you can get this in a lot of places. One is when you're out shooting with your dentist or whatever business you're working with, or for your own videos, you take videos that you know will work with this. So you may want to start off, before you even go out, know what you want. If you know you're going to interview a dentist, then you can say, okay, I want to ask him this question. I want to interview him answering that question. And then I want to have shots of him working. I want to have shots of the secretary checking somebody in. And I want to have shots of the equipment. So you make sure that you get that B-roll, and that you can put that, then you can put that into the video. The other way is to use stock video, which you can get in a variety of places. One of the best places to start looking for me, well, there's a few of them. There's actually some free ones, such as Pexels, that you can look at, Pexels. That has stock video. Pixabay also, Pixabay.com. They have a section for video footage. Now, if you go there looking for dental footage, you may not find it. You may find lots of street scenes and lakes and streams and fields and, things like that, maybe animals. But specific dental things like that, you may not find in there. But you can definitely go there, check, because it's completely for free. You don't have to pay anything for that. And if you find something that works, then you can use that in there. The next step for me is I always go straight to VideoHive, videohive.net. They've got a lot of great footage. It's fairly inexpensive, so you can get a nice piece of footage for $10, $15, and use that in your project. You're going to fall kind of into that same category, though. You may look up dental, and I shouldn't say that with dental, because they do have a lot of dental in there. But if you went in there looking for, HVAC footage of a repairman, you might have trouble finding that. You want to get video of somebody fixing an oven, you might have trouble finding that. But you can certainly start with your free stuff, work your way up to VideoHive, see what they've got in there. And then if they don't, well, then you got to go to the big guys like iStock and Shutterstock and places like that. They're going to be a lot more expensive, but if you really need a specific piece of footage, you're probably going to find it. Anything that you need, they're probably going to have, is going to cost you about $60 for a clip. Maybe you'll get lucky, you'll get one that's like $30 or $40, but for the most part, it's going to be in that $50 to $60 range. So it is a lot more expensive, but you get very high quality footage. And if somebody else is paying the bill, that's perfectly fine. You pass the cost along. Now, if you tell them, hey, I'm going to make you a video for $600, and you spend $600 in stock footage because you need 10 clips, you're going to be into some trouble there. So you got to be very careful. Make sure you understand what it is you want and what it is you need before you get in there and start charging for that stuff. But that's your second part. Get that B-roll yourself, or get it from one of the stock video companies. Use that in your footage to enhance that video, make it more meaningful, and help people to follow that story even better. So that's your next step, is adding the stock footage. Okay, the next one is one of the fun ones, and that is adding music. Music can really help to enhance any film that you create, any video that you produce. Now, if you think about this, is Friday the 13th going to be, as scary if it didn't have the music leading up to the big scary scene? That intense, spooky music that you hear before when Jason's chasing you through the woods or Michael Myers is chasing you through the backyard. music really sets a tone. You could take the same exact scene and simply by switching the music, you could turn it from a happy comedy into a scary movie, all from just changing that music around. So you want to make sure that you choose music that really reflects what it is you're doing. If you are working with a dentist, you may want to use something very slow, very melodic, that's very calming, because one thing we know about dentists is a lot of people are afraid of them. So if you put frantic music, and especially if you put horror music, you're probably going to scare people away. So you want to make sure that you portray happy, light, friendly type of music, because that's what you want to portray with the dentist, that he's happy, that he's friendly, that he's going to be light, he's not going to kill you. You're not going to walk out of there and with your face bandaged up. And having that right music can really set that tone and tell that story. And that goes with anything. So if you're doing, maybe you're doing real estate, and you want to show that the real estate agent moves around and she gets to all the houses and she really is the one who hustles. Well, then you can put music that really showcases that hustle. Something a little more upbeat, something a little more, maybe even slightly cartoony that has that, really friendly beat, that bouncy tune to it. And it's going to set that stage and tell that story that, hey, this is an upbeat, moving, this person gets around and does what they need to do, and they're always active, and that can really set the mood for that. If you played something that was very soft and, it's gonna slow it down. It's gonna bore them half to death, and they're gonna be asleep before they watch the video. So that can really be a big help. And then, of course, in certain things, you might want to use scary music for certain things. Like, for instance, let's say you've got your product that solves a problem, okay? And you start your video talking about the problem. Well, you could use that kind of scary music to enhance that frightened feeling of, oh my gosh, I have this problem too. I was $80,000 in debt with 15 credit cards, and you can play that, that scary music for that part. And then when you get to the credit solutions, then it's that happy, upbeat, light, friendly music, so that you have that real contrast, not only in the storyline of that video, but also in the mood created by the music. So the music can really make a big difference, and it can really enhance that video, make it more professional. And when you do these types of things, especially when you cut out your bad parts, you edit it together with your B-roll, you add your music, you're starting to have a really professional looking and sounding video that can really enhance and impress people. And of course, you want to be careful with the music. If you're talking to somebody, they're doing an interview, and you're going to have music, you want to have it nice and low so you can hear what the person's saying. So you want to make sure that you really edit that music. I'll be honest, most of the time with the stuff that I do, I'll usually have music at the beginning when, maybe I'm on screen and I say, hey, this is Ray, and over the next 2 minutes, I'm going to show you why, such and such product is going to change your life. And we might have music there, and then maybe we'll have some graphics and animation with some music. And then when it gets into me talking about it, I'll probably bring the music down to nothing and just take the music right out of the picture, because it's more about what I'm saying at that point. Now, some people will leave the music under that and be a little quiet, and sometimes I do as well. But that choice is up to you. You got to look at what you're doing and see what fits best. If you really need to set a mood throughout it, keep that music nice and low. Make sure it's the right music, and you can do some really cool stuff with it. And then, of course, at the end, if you got some sort of animation at the end, you can bring that music back up for the ending. If you're on YouTube and you put an end screen on there, you can have the music under the end screen, and you'll be doing pretty good. And so that's what you can do with music. Okay, so that's our third thing. So again, editing your stuff down, adding in your B-roll, adding in your music. And by the way, we'll throw in sound effects in there too, because that's another one that can be a big help, is to get sound effects in there. So for instance, if there's something that happens in there and you want to enhance it with sound effects, do that. Maybe David Letterman, if you think of, boy, this is going back now, I guess, but he used to do the thing where he would read stuff and he'd throw it over his shoulder and it would sound like the window broke, and psh, the glass would shatter. So you could do funny things like that to enhance a video. You could do more serious things. If you've got animation in there, you could highlight that animation, or maybe you've got some sort of graphic that flies in, you can add a sound effect to that. So the graphic flies in, whoosh, clunk, and it just enhances that. You don't want to make it too silly most of the time. Sometimes you do want to make it silly, but you can really enhance that by adding the sound effects along with the music. So that's another thing to throw in there, is the sound effects with the music. The next thing that can enhance your video is graphics. Now, this is one of the more intricate parts. This is the stuff that people get a little confused on, they get a little scared of, they don't want to do because they think it's a lot of work. And it can be a lot of work depending upon what you're doing. However, there are some great ways to work around the hard parts and get some really nice graphics into all of your videos. And, we're talking about lower thirds. Like right now, down here, if you're watching on the video, we've got a lower third on there. It's a very simple one. And actually, it is animated at the very beginning. If you're here when we first turn it on, it actually animates onto the screen, but then I have it freeze there. So you could have animation, and you could have lower thirds that are animated or still, and you can create those yourself. A lot of the video editing systems have them built in. For instance, I use Final Cut Pro. It's got a bunch of lower thirds already built into it. And you can also buy plugins that add a whole bunch more from all sorts of different companies that make these really nice animated ones, because the ones that are built in, you get tired of those pretty quickly, and they're kind of limited. But some of these third parties, man, they'll go all out and create real news-style graphics and animate the lower third in, and the logo flies in with it, and you can have some fun with that. So use the built-in tools inside your editing program to make life easier for you when it comes to this. And if you don't have any in there, look to see if there are plugins. For Final Cut Pro, there's tons. For Adobe Premiere, there's tons. For iMovie, there's tons. For ScreenFlow, there's a bunch. For Camtasia, I believe there's a bunch built in, and I think you can buy more. So check around and see if there are plugins that will give you even more of these. Now, in addition to using the ones that are built in, you can create your own. You could create still ones in Photoshop. And believe it or not, when I used to work in TV news back years and years ago, we actually built ours in Photoshop. We didn't have fancy, graphic workstations to build these animated graphics and things back in those days. So we would build them inside of Photoshop, and we would just have the switcher, either fly them in or highlight, they would just fade in. And that's how we did the graphics in those days. We just did it that way. Nowadays, you've got all sorts of machines that will do it. You've got computers that will do it, and they'll animate different parts in and things like that. But you could do it right inside of Photoshop, make a beautiful graphic that's a lower third, bring it in there, and then put your text on top of that, and you've got this really nice lower third. Now, on top of that, you could also use something like Apple Motion or Adobe After Effects, and you could really create some cool stuff with those by going in and animating something really neat. And again, you could use that in conjunction with Photoshop. So maybe in Photoshop you create a little rectangle that's red, and then maybe a rectangle under that that's black, and a white one on top. And then you put a logo box, and then you put the logo in there, and then you animate all the pieces together. Now that's getting a lot more complex. If you do that with Adobe After Effects, you're going to be talking about doing some real work in there to do that. But you can also hire somebody to do that. So if you were to go to Upwork or even Fiverr, you could probably find somebody that will make you an animated lower third, and then all you have to do is put the text on there. So I would check those things out. And there are lower thirds and animated lower thirds that you can purchase from the places we talked about earlier. So for instance, VideoHive has them built in, animated lower thirds. You go in there, you look them up. They got a whole bunch of them that you could just purchase and use. In fact, the one that we're using right here that has my name and Steve's name on it actually is an animated one that I purchased from VideoHive. And so you go in there, you purchase it, you download. It's probably going to come in an MOV format, and you just bring that into your video editor, throw it in there, and boom, you're ready to go. So even if you don't have graphic experience, you can do some really nice ones. Now, there's a lot of other graphics that you could do as well to enhance a video. For instance, an animated logo. So if you've got a nice logo, you could have it animate in on a background. You can be using animated backgrounds behind text. So for instance, in the case of our dentist, if he starts talking about the 5 ways that he's better at being a dentist, you may put an animated background while he's talking and put in text that comes in, almost like a PowerPoint presentation that says, I'm better because of A, B, C, and D, and put that in as a graphic that way. And so that can really enhance the video, make it look cooler. Another thing that you could do is what's called a sidebar. So for instance, your dentist is speaking, you could have an animated background graphic that comes in on part of the screen. So he might be on the right part of the screen, and this graphic might be on the other side of the screen, and then you could put text on that or logo on that, contact information. All of these things can enhance the videos. You could put credits at the end if it's a longer video and you need to do that. So there's a lot of different things that can really enhance. I like to put Sometimes if it's not a traditional lower third, I might put a graphic bar across the bottom of an entire video with contact information, maybe a phone number and a website, things like that can really help to enhance that. At the end of the videos, I like to do end screens so that we can bring them into YouTube and add in the elements for an end screen. So all of these things can really enhance a video as well. So again, just to recap that a little bit here, we've got editing the video to make sure we get all of the bad stuff out of there. We've got, yes, Steve, you're pointing your finger at, oh, he's just saying 2. Okay. Number 2, we've got the B-roll, adding that into there. Number 3 is our music, and 3A would be the sound effects. And the 4th part would be adding in the graphics. And now I'm going to talk about the 5th part, and this is a little bit more specific because most of us are going to be doing YouTube-style videos. So these are going to be videos that are going to go onto YouTube at the end. And so one of the other things that we can do to really enhance this isn't necessarily about the video itself. It's more about YouTube. And so in most of my videos, what I do is what we talked about a second ago, which is to put an end screen. And putting that end screen on the end of the video for 20 seconds allows you to add things inside of YouTube. YouTube now has a section called end screens. You click on that, and the last 20 seconds of the video, you can feature another video. You could have a subscribe button. You could have a link back to a website if you meet their requirements. These things can be a big help for your videos, but you've got to do the work inside your video editor first because you have to upload it to YouTube with this in there and then add it to it. So what I like to do for that is, again, some sort of animated background for 20 seconds. So after the video ends, maybe the dentist says, if you need more information, call us now. And then after he finishes speaking, we go to a graphic that's an end screen. It's got a big blank area in the center so that inside of YouTube we can put all those graphics in, or the extra video that you want them to see, or the subscribe button, things like that. But on that end screen, what I like to do is make sure that, at the very top of it, that it has maybe some sort of title. Maybe it's the name of the company and the logo. On the bottom of it, you might want to put their contact information. For a dentist that I did recently, the end screen that I did was on one side of the screen, I had a sidebar, and I had a background. The background was actually a picture of their location blurred out so that you could put text over it and read it. So it was a blurred out background. And then I put a sidebar on one side with their contact information. And then the rest of that sidebar let me change that. The sidebar had their logo at the top. It had a map showing where they're located. Okay. And then on the other side at the very top, I guess we'll say over here, at the top we had their contact information, their address, and then we had a big open space underneath, and that's where we would put the other video and the subscribe button, so they would be on top of each other. And that just allowed us to have an end screen that also had information that we needed as well as the video. And so that really can enhance your video to take it to another level, especially when you're working with a client and you want to show them, hey, look, we do all of these stuff. In fact, funny story, one of the lawyers that we work with, I did the end screen, and it's got his phone number and his logo and other information there, and this big blank area in the middle. And he's like, well, I really like the video, but can we put something else on the end there? It's like it's all at the top and bottom, and the middle's just empty. And I'm like, yeah, let me show you why. And so I didn't quite understand that, but that can be a big help. You put it onto YouTube and make a big difference in the videos, and we do that with pretty much all the videos nowadays. We put the end screens on there, add in the extra stuff, and it just when it's on YouTube, it just enhances the video, lets people click to another video, subscribe, things like that, and as they get traffic that gets to the end of the video, that could be a big help. Now, on top of that, one of the other things that if you're doing a video for YouTube, another thing that you can enhance is inside of YouTube, you may want to use the YouTube cards. Now, if you're not familiar with cards, what these are is inside of a YouTube video, when you're watching it, there'll be a little icon up in the corner, somewhere up in the top corner here, and it'll be like a little round eye. It'll be a circle with an eye in it. And when you click on that, it actually will have these little square graphics that you put in. And those graphics can link to another video. They can link to a page. They can link to a variety of different things inside of YouTube You do have to meet certain requirements, of course, but once you do, these can be a big help. So if you wanted to have somebody click back to the website, you would put a YouTube card in. And maybe when the dentist says, we're the best in town, you should give us a call today for an appointment, you could have that card be there. Now, they do have to click the eye icon in order for it to work. And there can be a banner that kind of pops out of that eye icon that says, click here to learn more, blah, blah, blah. But what you may want to do is create some sort of graphic or animation that you could put on the screen anytime you want that would just go up in that top corner and point to where that eye icon would be and say, be sure to click here to try us out now or something like that. So you could do something really cool that would add to that and get people to click that eye icon, because it's still, even though it's not new anymore, it's been there a couple years, a lot of people don't know what it is or why it's there. They don't even notice it. And if you do something to call attention to that eye icon, they click on it and then they click back to your website to buy your product, it can make a big difference. So an animation there can go a long way. It doesn't have to be big. It could be just text, a little arrow, and just to grab people's attention for a second. That could be a big help as well. Whew. So there you go. 5 ways to enhance your videos so that you can get more traffic, more sales, impress your clients, get paid more each month, and just really make those videos much better marketing tools. What do you think of that, Steve?
It's very good stuff, Ray.
I agree.
Yeah. Those end screens are good for guys that are creating informative content,
Yep.
How to build a barbecue, how to use a fork, how to tie your shoes, that type of thing.
And what I like to do, well, actually, I think they're even better for local businesses. I think that's where you really get the most out of this, is on those local businesses, because you're telling people to call, you're telling people to go to the website. So I think they're very, very effective with local businesses.
So the end screens, I thought you could just link to another video on the end screens.
No, you can put subscribe buttons. You can put links back to the website. You could, you can do a few things on there. It's a little bit limiting, but it does give you a lot of different things you can do.
It gives you more than just the other video. Okay.
Plus the information that you put there. So they're staring at, the phone number and the website for an extra 20 seconds, which is a nice thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
lots of fun with those
stuff.
videos. Now, one thing I will say, and this is something that we do quite often, is you may need to make two versions of your video, one without that end screen and without that little click on the eye icon. That way, when you put it on Facebook, you're not confusing people. When you put it on your website, you're not confusing people. So that's another thing that you may want to take into account. That doesn't really require much work. You just remove it and hit render, and you should be good. But just something to think about.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Indeed.
And the things that you've talked about today are really fairly simple to do. Even a guy like me can do it.
Not hard, not overly difficult to get some of those things done. No doubt about it.
Right.
So,
cool.
There you go.
Great info.
Thanks.
And I guess that wraps it up. Now, who helped make this show possible today?
Well, this show was made possible by our good friends at Best Buy. That's right, Best Buy, the place where you can go to get everything from your iPhone and your Android phone all the way up to TVs, refrigerators, and stoves for your house, movies, music, video games, cameras. You can get cards for your cameras, tripods, you name it. They've got all of that at Best Buy. And the cool thing is, when you go to Best Buy's website, there's a lot more that they don't even have in the store normally that you can pick up. So higher-end cameras that they may not stock in the store, you can pick up at Best Buy. And the way you do that is by heading over to raisebonuses.com/Best Buy. And check out all the great stuff they have from DSLR cameras to... I'm trying to think of all the other great things there. They've got microphones that you can get there. They've got movies. They've got video game systems that you can get, TVs, all of that great stuff. GoPros, you can get GoPros there, and all the GoPro extras like the floating little dongles and the lenses and the boxes and all that stuff that you want for your GoPro you can get there. Drones, if you need a drone, you can get a drone there.
Lots of shiny objects.
Good stuff. Indeed.
Yeah.
So if you have shiny object syndrome, head on over there. And, of course, they've got the Apple Store right inside of there, so you can get all of your iMacs and iPads and watches and all that kind of stuff, too. So
Wild,
a lot of fun at Best
stuff.
Buy. Just head on over to raisebonuses.com/bestbuy. There you go.
All
With
right.
that, Steve, are we ready to hit that funky music?
I think we are.
All right. Then until next week, here's that funky music, and we'll see you then, guys.
He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.